brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Alexa Bliss. Alexis Kaufman is an American professional wrestler currently signed to WWE under the ring name Alexa Bliss, where she performs on the Raw brand, and is the current Raw Women's Champion in her first reign. In May 2013, she signed a contract with WWE and was assigned to WWE Performance Center and developmental brand NXT in Orlando, Florida. Bliss made her main roster debut on the SmackDown brand in July 2016, and became the first woman to win the SmackDown Women's Championship twice. She was transferred to the Raw brand in April 2017 and became Raw Women's Champion later that month. Bliss is the first woman to have won both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. Early life. Kaufman was born in Columbus, Ohio. She has been involved in sports since the age of 5, competing in softball, track, kickboxing, and gymnastics. In cheerleading, she reached Division I status in college. She also spent time in competitive bodybuilding, and has competed in the Arnold Classic. At the age of 15, Kaufman suffered from a life-threatening eating disorder, but bodybuilding helped her overcome it. NXT 2013-2016. Kaufman was signed by WWE in May 2013 and reported to WWE's developmental territory NXT on the July 24 episode of NXT, which was taped on June 20. She made her first televised appearance, congratulating the inaugural NXT Women's Champion Paige. In August, she was added to WWE.com's NXT roster page and assigned the ring name Alexa Bliss. She acted as an unnamed ring announcer for the November 20 episode of NXT. Her first televised appearance on the main roster came at WrestleMania XXX on April 6, 2014, when she played a part in Triple H's entrance. She made her televised in-ring debut on the May 8 episode of NXT, competing in a tournament for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. She defeated former Divas champion Alicia Fox in the first round, but lost to Charlotte in the semi-finals. After a hiatus due to a legitimate injury, Bliss returned on the March 11, 2015 episode of NXT, where she defeated Carmella. The following week on NXT, she defeated NXT Women's Champion Sasha Banks by countout in a non-title match, which led to Bliss being granted a title match against Banks on the March 25 episode of NXT, which she lost. On the May 13 episode of NXT, Bliss defeated Carmella after the NXT Tag Team Champions Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake set up a distraction. On May 20 at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, Bliss helped Blake and Murphy retain the NXT Tag Team Championship against Colin Cassidy and Enzo Amore, forming an alliance with them and turning into a villainous character in the process. On the July 29 episode of NXT, Bliss helped Blake and Murphy retain the NXT Tag Team Championship against the Vaudevillians, and slapped both English and Gotch after the match. The Vaudevillians were granted a rematch for the NXT Tag Team Championship against Blake and Murphy at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn on August 22, which they won after Blue Pants stopped Bliss from providing a distraction during the match. This led to a match between the two, where Bliss would go on to defeat Blue Pants in a singles match on the September 2 episode of NXT. Throughout October and November, Bliss started a feud with Bayley over the NXT Women's Championship. The two faced off in the main event on the November 18 episode of NXT. where Bliss was unsuccessful in capturing the title. On the January 13, 2016 episode of NXT, Bliss competed in a number 1 Contenders Battle Royal, but lost. On May 18 episode of NXT, Bliss and Blake abandoned Murphy, officially disbanding the trio. On the May 25 episode of NXT, Bliss competed in a triple threat match against Carmella and Nia Jax to determine the number 1 contender to Asuka's NXT Women's Championship, which was won by Jax. On the August 17 episode of NXT, Bliss competed in a tag team match along with Daria Berenato and Mandy Rose, in which they were defeated by Carmella, Liv Morgan, and Nikki Glenn-Cross in what would be also her last match in NXT. SmackDown Women's Champion, 2016-2017. After being drafted to the SmackDown brand as part of the 2016 WWE Draft on July 19, Bliss made her main roster debut for the brand on July 26, where she confronted Becky Lynch before being interrupted by the brand female talents. Bliss achieved her first victory on the main roster by defeating Lynch after she replaced Eva Marie in the match on the August 9 episode of SmackDown. On August 21 at SummerSlam, she teamed with Natalya and Nikki Bella in a winning effort against Lynch, Carmella, and Naomi. Bliss debuted a new look based on Harley Quinn from the film Suicide Squad at Backlash on September 11, competing in a six-pack elimination challenge to determine the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion, which Lynch won. On the September 13 episode of SmackDown Live, Bliss won a fatal 5-way match to earn a Women's Championship match against Lynch at No Mercy on October 9. However, due to Lynch suffering a legitimate injury, the match was rescheduled for the November 8 episode of SmackDown, where Lynch successfully defended the title against Bliss. Bliss participated in the Raw vs. SmackDown Women's Elimination Tag Team match at Survivor Series, where her team lost the match. On December 4 at TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs, Bliss defeated Lynch in a tables match to become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. On the January 17, 2017 episode of SmackDown Live, Bliss successfully defended her title against Lynch in a steel cage match, following an interference by the returning Mickie James, who allied herself with Bliss. On February 12, Bliss dropped the title to Naomi at Elimination Chamber. On the February 21 episode of SmackDown Live, Bliss defeated Lynch to capture the title for the second time after Naomi was forced to vacate the title due to an injury, becoming the first two-time SmackDown Women's Champion. Bliss' partnership with Mickie James dissolved shortly after, and the two would face off in a match, with James defeating Bliss. On April 2, Bliss lost the title to Naomi in a six-pack challenge also involving James, Carmella, Natalya and Lynch. At WrestleMania 33, she had a rematch on April 4 episode of SmackDown Live but lost. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.